Alright guys, so today I want to do a little bit of an educational video, so everybody get your educational caps on. We're going to talk about a myth, or it's not a proven myth, but it's fairly well proven. We'll talk about that. That's going around in the manosphere, and how it might actually be very, 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 very wrong. So, let's get into this. This is study, National Library of Medicine. You can't see that up there. But this is from the NIH website, and it is systemic effects of oxytocin on male sexual activity via the spinal ejaculation generator in rats. So, if you know anything about sciences, placental mammals are pretty much identical when it comes to certain systems in our bodies. Mice and rats are just as good of analogs for humans as a primate is. We're just so closely compacted on the evolutionary tree. What worked for mice worked for everything that came after mice, so it just stuck around. So in this study, it's going through what oxytocin does in males, and there is a myth that goes around the manosphere, the red pill groups, that says that males don't produce oxytocin during sex. So it doesn't affect bonding, whereas women do release oxytocin when they orgasm, so it does affect bonding, which is true. Women do release oxytocin when they orgasm, and it does lead to bonding, to partner bonding. If you do it too many times, it becomes a problem, but that's not the purpose of this video. But in this paper, which is a long one, I'll have it linked. You can go ahead and go take a look at all of the things, read all of the stats, check the references and everything. I spent a couple of days trying to get this video ready. Link's going to be in the description below if you want to go check all that stuff out. But it talks about how we might have just been looking in the wrong place when we were comparing the two. So oxytocin is not absent in males when it comes to sexual activity. In fact, based on this study, we actually produce very similar levels of oxytocin that females do when they orgasm. It's just in a different system. We never thought to look over here, because we found it over here in female systems, and then we looked in the same place in male systems to see if it was there, and we didn't find it, and we just concluded that males don't have oxytocin responses to sex. But that's not true, because like I said, in this paper it goes through, like I said, you can go through and read all of this if you want to. Essentially, when male bonding happens, it happens before sex, because oxytocin in this paper, it builds up in the lumbar region of your spine if you're male. And this happens before sex. It typically has to. We have a visual override evolutionarily that will produce the oxytocin without the foreplay, essentially, of a time, attention, affection, which is what males bond over. But according to this paper, when we're doing that, when you're just sitting on the couch with a girl, you're just Netflixing and chilling, your body is building up oxytocin in the lumbar region of your spine. And once that oxytocin level gets to a high enough level, and they don't understand this part yet. This is still unfigured science beyond this. But something happens with the oxytocin in the nerve cluster at the lumbar region of your spine that causes erection. So we already have this massive amount of oxytocin in our body by the time we have an erection. Like, we already have enough, the same amount of oxytocin built up in our spine that a woman releases during an orgasm. And that's how we get erections as male placental mammals. And it goes further in this paper to talk about, yet again, not understood. When we get ready to ejaculate, that oxytocin drains from the spine into the sacs that are behind. God, I can't remember. Anyway, it builds up behind these sacs, and that triggers the release of ejaculate. So we actually have a confirmed study. I mean, like I said, go through, take a look at it, read it for yourself, you know, all that stuff. Check out the pretty pictures, you know, look at that, it's nice and green. But yeah, there's a lot of really good information in here. It even goes into how oxytocin is part of the male immune system, which is really cool. But we have this study, and it doesn't confirm that male humans do this because we haven't tested it on male humans, but mice and rats are very, very accurate analogs for humans. They're accurate analogs for almost every placental mammal. So it really does appear like we actually do have a release of oxytocin that is at least comparable to the amount of oxytocin that a woman releases during an orgasm. The difference being that a woman releases oxytocin once she has achieved something in sex, and that affects bonding. Whereas with males, bonding leads to the oxytocin release. It's the other way around. It's like exact opposites. It's exact opposites. And this is why you can't be like, oh, well, men and women are equal. No, we're not. We are literally not the same freaking creatures, man. Like, I'm sorry, I had a little bit of breakfast there. but yeah, women have the orgasm and then they release the oxytocin. That causes bonding, whereas males have bonding, which causes oxytocin, which causes an orgasm. It's literally the exact opposite. Like, actually, that's beautiful. That's beautiful because that means we're palindromic creatures, not just dichotomous. We're palindromic. Everything hinges at the orgasm. That's beautiful. Now the thing about it, that's poetic. That's symmetry. That's sacred. That's sacred geometry, I think. But yeah, I wanted to dispel this myth because, like, this study came out when? It's March of last year, so, you know, everybody was losing their minds over Modello sickness, and this stuff just... There are probably so many studies that came out over the past 3 years that were just revolutionary, and we just all missed them because we were worried about Modello sickness. But yeah, this came out March of last year, and I keep hearing people talking about this oxytocin myth in the red pill community, but it doesn't look like it's actually a thing. It looks like oxytocin is very much a thing for male bonding. It's actually the result of male bonding. We actually bond before we release oxytocin, which is, like I said, the opposite of females. They release oxytocin and then they bond, and it all hinges around the orgasm. But yeah, I hope you guys found this informative, and yeah, don't repeat this myth anymore. Now you know better. You know better now. Go forth, oh fantastic kings, and spread the good news. Oxytocin is actually part of our system too. Until next time, I love you all.